So the White House's campaign against Dr. Fauci has turned from a whisper campaign to a smear campaign fairly quickly. So over the weekend, it was revealed that the White House sent out a statement to multiple media outlets trying to discredit Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the top members of the White House's own coronavirus task force. In a statement Saturday, a White House official told CNN that several White House officials are concerned about the number of times Dr. Fauci has been wrong on things. The official went on to provide a lengthy list of examples citing Dr. Fauci's comments early in the pandemic and linking to past interviews. These bullet points, which resembled opposition research on a political opponent, included Fauci downplaying the virus early on, and a quote from March when Fauci said, "People should not be walking around with masks," among other comments. Not included were previous statements from the Surgeon General urging people not to buy masks, or an acknowledgement of the president's own false claims and misstatements about the virus. Fauci's public sidelining has been notable. He's been making less frequent media appearances, and just last week, one Sunday show said their attempts to book him haven't been approved for months, while the president himself has made it clear he's at odds with Fauci. But recent reports have indicated that Fauci has been privately sidelined as well. Fauci no longer briefs Trump and is never in the Oval Office anymore, said a senior administration official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Fauci last spoke to the president during the first week of June, according to a president with knowledge of Trump's calendar. In a burst of early morning online activity, Trump retweeted messages from the politically conservative former game show personality Chuck Woolery, who serves stints hosting Wheel of Fortune and Love Connection, which lamented the most outrageous lies being spread about the coronavirus pandemic. Everyone is lying. The CDC, media, Democrats, our doctors, not all but most that we are told to trust. I think it's all about the election and keeping the economy from coming back, which is about the election. I'm sick of it, Woolery wrote in a tweet shared by the president. Trump also retweeted a message from Mark Young, Woolery's co-host on his Blunt Force Truth podcast, which asked, "So based on Dr. Fauci and the Democrats, I will need an ID card to go shopping, but not to vote?" he asked. So just an example of the high-minded ideas, the high levels of ideas that Donald Trump is tweeting out. Maybe he turned up the dial of ideas that Dave Rubin keeps in his house. So obviously Trump's trying to discredit Fauci so that he can pretend coronavirus is over, even as it's peaking in many states throughout the country and people are dying, deaths are ramping up. Being anti-science and allowing more people to die, well, as Lord Farquaad said in Shrek, some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That's kind of Trump's philosophy when it comes to COVID-19.
People have compared him to a lot of things, but Lord Farquaad is a new one. Nice job, Emma. So will the dragon eat him later? All right.
We'll see.
Yeah, cross your fingers. Let's break this down a little bit more. So if you notice, Chuck Woolery went after doctors too, and Trump retweeted that. So we're now past attacking government officials, attacking the media, attacking scientists. We're onto the doctors. Yeah, it's likely the doctors' fault that we have the worst coronavirus cases in the world. No, the doctors are the ones trying to save your lives. But look, there's nothing the cult won't believe. Can they get them to stop going to doctors? It's possible. I mean, one guy reportedly said on his deathbed, his last words were, "I thought it was a hoax," when he passed away from coronavirus. So then if you notice, he actually went after the CDC too. Trump acts like he's a guy who doesn't realize he's in the government and in fact leads the government. So if you're dissatisfied with the CDC guidelines, you could have talked to them before they published them because you're the president and they report into you. But you never do your homework, so you had no idea what their guidelines was. In the middle of the worst pandemic of our lifetimes, you never bothered to talk to the CDC about what guidelines they were going to put out for all of our health. So
but that makes him feel bad, Cenk. That doesn't make him feel warm and fuzzy inside about his reelection prospects. And do people realize Fauci doesn't have any real power, and that's evident every day by the fact that Trump doesn't listen to him. So he's just an advisor. When Ebola was ravaging throughout the world, Obama took his advice and we saw what happened. Trump is not taking his advice. Obviously, coronavirus is way more contagious than Ebola and other diseases in the past, but we're seeing what's happened there. All he does is advise. So these conspiracy theories about him, just because he's the most public scientific face behind COVID-19 and the information that's coming out about it, it's just absurd. And all media creations and online chatter that Trump feeds into on a regular basis as the president of the United States. And that trickles down and discredits all the other scientists and doctors, just like what he's retweeting there, the point that Cenk made. It's deeply dangerous stuff and sets a terrible precedent.
Fauci now is getting clearer and clearer with, no, this is still part of the first wave. We're in a lot of trouble. Cases could easily go up to 100,000 a day. When he said that, the right wing was like, that's outrageous. That's never gonna happen. We're already at 60,000 cases a day. Worst in the world. It never let down. Florida right now has over 15,000 cases a day just by itself. It's the most that any state has had since the beginning of the epidemic. Worse than that, it's now worse than a lot of countries that have a much bigger population than Florida, including Spain and Italy, some of the hardest hit countries. Florida is worse off today than they were. So it's just an absolute epic disaster. And I think the reason that Fauci's pointing it out more and more aggressively is in the past, he was partly holding his powder dry because he thought, well, at least Trump is listening to me and I can get through to him and I can influence him to do the right things. So it's worth balancing these interests out. But now he hasn't talked to Trump since June 2nd. So since he's got no access to Trump, and he's realized what everyone in the Trump administration eventually realizes, which is that he won't listen. So we had a quote from last week with someone who's very conservative inside the White House, who said, he won't read a memo, and when you start telling him something, he starts talking over you. So there's literally no way to get him information. And so now Fauci likely thinks, then I might as well inform the American people to the best of my ability how disastrous this is, because they've got to wear the mask and we've got to be careful. This thing is out of control.
Yeah, and lastly, besides the hardcore Trumpies, this is getting through how bad it is, because no amount of statue focus or culture war stuff or race baiting can allow Americans to escape from their daily reality, which is that they wake up and they don't have a job. They wake up or they're in quarantine. They wake up and their grandma is in the hospital with COVID-19. They're in debt, credit card debt. They can't get a job, etc. They can't pay their rent. These are daily realities for people. And so Trump can't obfuscate and change the conversation when you wake up and you go to sleep and it's the first and last thing that you're thinking about. And so that's why he's failing so miserably at this marketing attempt, because this is such a colossal disaster that everyone's facing every day that you can't change it. And by the way, one last point. It's not a coincidence that Brazil and the United States, led by two far-right, science-denying lunatics in Jair Bolsonaro and Trump, are leading the world in coronavirus cases. Not a coincidence.
Right now, US and Brazil combined have more cases than the rest of the world combined. Facts matter. Hashtag science is real.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.